Hey everybody, welcome back. This is a married couple drama that lit up Am I the A-hole? All rise for the Honorable Judge Charlotte. You may be seated. Am I the a-hole for putting my wife on a strict allowance and making her ask me permission to buy expensive things? When we were married, we decided not to fully combine our finances. Okay, that's kind of messy, I feel like. Okay, fair, not traditional. Not sure how you facilitate that, but like, good to know. We have a shared account in which I fund 3/4 and she funds 1/4. We use this account to pay the mortgage, utilities, grocery, etc. We also have our separate accounts where we deposit the rest of our money. Interesting. I've never heard of this before. We're responsible for our own investments and cars. Things all worked well for a couple of years until recently when she came to me crying. Turns out my wife is not good with her money.
No way.
And owes $150,000. Ooh, that's not good. Spread over several credit cards. Whoa, dude. How do you even get to that point?
Observe.
And her car loan. Unless she wins the lottery, there's no way she would be able to pay off her debt, and I didn't want her to mess up her credit by declaring bankruptcy. At that point, you're literally just being careless. I'm sorry. It's one thing to have even like $20,000 in debt. I feel like the vast majority of people are in debt. This is something very normal. If you're not in debt, congratulations. You make up literally like 20% of the population. However, $150,000, bestie, that's a lot. What are you spending that money on?
What the hell is that?
An alpaca, I got the last one.
I feel like she was just careless and just figured,
Oh, my husband will bail me out.
ooh, no. This is like divorce fuel. I decided to loan her the money. To pay off the debt on strict conditions. I will take over her finances, including receiving her income. God, this feels like a parent-child relationship, not a marriage. I get that she owes you money, but I just feel like this is just not good. She will be placed on a strict allowance and a budget. She will have to ask permission to buy anything over $50 and has to go by my judgment. Once she pays me back the money, she can take control of her own finances. That could take a while. It's $150,000. Most people don't make that in a year. She argued against the conditions. I mean, she probably would, yeah. But I mean, how else is she gonna get out of this? I don't really feel like she's in a position to be like choosing how she's gonna get out of this debt. She argued the conditions until I pointed out I don't have $150,000 in cash stuffed in the couch. I will have to sell some assets, including stocks that are currently performing well. If I loan her the money, it will cost me money. She finally agreed. This weekend, we were at a dinner party where after too many drinks, some of the women decided they wanted to take a girls' trip a few weekends from now. My wife turned to me and asked me if she could go, and I answered no, it's not in her budget. I'll spare you the details of the argument that erupted, but the TLDR version is that I'm a misogynist pig who keeps her on a leash.
Yes, Daddy.
That would be true if she didn't put herself on that leash. Some argued I should have bailed her out without conditions because there should be none in a marriage. Like, you also married someone who's like incredibly careless with their money. The hurtful part is that she didn't once defend me. You agreed to pay off this massive debt and then she didn't defend you? Like, she didn't like tell her friends that, you know, you were helping her out of a bind? Was I wrong to put all those conditions on her? There are a lot of people watching this who will probably feel as though a marriage should come without conditions. It is not traditional to like keep your finances separate like that, but I have a feeling that you also had a feeling that this might happen. Let's be sure when we're marrying people that we also align on finances. Be prepared. Because when you marry someone, you take on their financial decisions. Unless, of course, you keep it separate. I think under the circumstances and your current situation, I don't think it's wrong to have put those parameters on her. She's in no position to be going on a girls' trip and spending thousands of dollars. This is her showing her spending habits. Even when she's $150,000 in debt, she still wants to spend. That's not how it works, babes. You spend the money when you got the money. Don't spend money thinking that you're gonna have money, because sometimes that doesn't work out. We have an update and some more context.
Bring it on.
I read some of your comments at lunch and continue to read them. When I got home from work, she started another round of arguments about the trip. Okay, so I was like kind of thinking maybe she was like drunk. She didn't mean what she said, but that's not the case. Cool. Okay. I pointed out she has no money, at which point she pointed out she hasn't hit the limit on one of her credit cards. This is why we're in debt. And that card should cover her for a weekend. So I drove back to my office and will spend the night here. To answer some of the questions questions that may be brewing in your head. 1. Our shared account pays for everything in the house. For example, a few weeks ago, we bought a new cookware set from Costco, and that money came out of the shared account, which you contribute 3/4 of, and she contributes 1/4, and she's still in debt. She works a full-time job. Minus her contribution to the shared account, the rest of her income is hers to spend as she wishes. I covered things we do together like dinners, dates, and vacations. Okay. The principal amount she owes is about $120,000, of which about half is her car loan. The rest consists of interest and late fees. If we can't even pay interest and late fees, we can't be spending, bestie. I didn't bring up her debt in front of her friends because I wanted to protect her reputation. How good of you. I haven't liquidated anything. I'm working with my advisor and broker and deciding what to liquidate to take the least financial and tax hit. She doesn't gamble. I looked over her bills and it looks like she spent money on dinners, drinks, and shopping with her friends. Yeah, she's got a little spending problem. Not little, large spending problem. We've been married for less than 5 years and do not have children. We started talking about a family in a couple of years. This is a sticky situation. I fail to understand how your wife isn't eternally grateful that you have bailed her out of this situation. I feel like she racked up that debt thinking that you would bail her out and didn't think about the consequences. Honestly, I genuinely feel like you should have just let her learn the lesson on her own. I used to be irresponsible with money. Very irresponsible. I made some bad decisions. But eventually I had to start taking responsibility for my bad decisions. Not the a-hole. Your wife is seriously irresponsible, and it seems that when you bailed her out, she didn't learn a lesson. It's the thing, right? If you come to the rescue, there are no consequences. Real world consequences. She and her friends put you on the spot like that, hoping the pressure would force you to say yes. A normal person would have realized the mess they had made and realized they can't spend frivolously with $150,000 in debt hanging over their heads. But this just shows your wife's attitude. Good luck getting your money back. Yeah. I'm a little confused as to how she still has a credit card. Cut it up. Cut those little moves up. Dangerous little things. If you're not careful, those credit cards can just get a little out of control. You know what I'm saying? OP, make her destroy her credit cards and cancel them with you as a witness. Then don't tell her beforehand, freeze her credit. Sure, she can unfreeze it since it is her credit, but maybe that extra step will help with the cards. How do you even get $150 in credit limits when you owe so much? My husband and I make well over that, and we don't have that much in cards. That is a very good point. How are you even able to spend that much? It's the car loan, apparently. But yeah, that's a pretty substantial debt to rack up. Shouldn't have bailed her out. You'll never get the money back, and this won't end well. She already resents you. You can't stop someone who wants to financially destroy themselves from doing it. It's like saying OP should hide all the alcohol in the house. It's putting a band-aid on a sucking chest wound. OP needs to have a real conversation with his wife and to seriously consider divorce. It'll destroy him financially in the short term, but better that than forever. All right, in my eyes, I'm gonna agree with Reddit on this one, and I'm gonna say you're not the a-hole. Is this divorce worthy? You tell me. I feel like we read these sometimes and we're too quick to say, oh, divorce her, divorce her. Is this a divorce worthy offense? You let me know how you feel. Moving on. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that if he pays me my hourly rate, I will do more housework? I'm a steam fitter. What's a steam fitter? Steam fitter.
Just do my research.
Layout, assemble, install, maintain pipe system, pipe supports, or related hydraulic or pneumatic equipment for steam, hot water, heating, cooling, lubricating, sprinkling, or industrial production of processing systems. I cannot believe I said that in one take, bestie. So she's a steam fitter. I've been at it for a while and I'm in supervision. With bonuses and incentives, but not counting benefits, I earn over $100 an hour. Ooh, get your coin, bestie. Nice. I also work out of town. I started doing that once the kids were old enough to take care of themselves with their dad at home. So when my youngest was in middle school and the oldest was a junior in high school. It is great. I love that for you, bestie. I love that. Our retirement savings are piling up and we've been able to splurge on the kids and ourselves. My husband is upset, however, because I decided to pay for a cleaning lady. Hold on. I find that housework tends to come between a couple. My mother told me that the main things that couples fight about are housework and money. So if you can kind of remove remove the housework from the equation. Leave it up to somebody else. If you are financially able, which they are, I don't see why not. He and I discussed it and we agreed that him and the kids didn't do a great job keeping the house clean and tidy while I was away. I hated coming home to a mess. It caused a few fights because it was like they expected me to come home and clean up after them. No, no, no. That's some weaponized incompetence if I've ever seen it. The last thing that you want to do when you get home from a trip or from work or whatever is clean up after other people. And I'm sorry, bestie, but like, you earning your own money. If you want to spend your money on a cleaning lady, ¿qué pasa? What's the problem? Is that actually ¿qué pasa? I don't actually know what that means. Guys, I speak Spanish now. Having her is fantastic. I come home to a clean house and I am happier. Love that for you. I also like cleanliness. I like things to be clean. I don't like seeing little dust bunnies everywhere. My kids have more time to study and do extracurriculars. They still have chores and they are still expected to clean up after themselves. Sounds like a win-win to me. My husband came to me last time I was home and said we should cut back on the service when I'm home. That I should be doing more housework. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's he doing?
Absolutely nothing.
He can't do the housework? We've got a working woman here making lots of money. That kind of thinking only works if you're the breadwinner and she's staying home all day, doesn't have a job. He thinks that we are wasting money. I wouldn't say that, bestie. To me, having a clean house and having good mental health because your space is clean is a worthy expense. It could be a luxury in some people's eyes, but to me, it's a worthy expense. I said that I work 14 days in a row and those are 13-hour days. Ooh, definitely not coming home and cleaning after that. Yes, it's mostly paperwork, but his job as a teacher isn't much more physically challenging. I said that I could offer him two options. If he wanted, we can get completely rid of the service and him and the kids can make sure the house is in good shape when I get home. Or he could pay me my hourly rate and do extra housework when I'm on my days off. I think that's totally fair. He is upset with me and says I'm being financially manipulative. No, bestie, he's weaponizing incompetence against you. I think if he and the kids actually did what they're supposed to do when I'm away, none of this would be an issue. She's got a point. Having a cleaning lady there all the time, like, it definitely could be expensive. However, my issue is that he expects her to take on the duties of the cleaner and to come home and clean up after everybody else after she's been working for 13 hours. No, that's not going to happen. Either contribute or shut the f up. I know how I feel about this, but let's see what Reddit had to say. So you can afford it. Everything gets done. Everybody has free time. No one has to do stuff they don't want to do. There aren't any fights over it. I mean, there really is no downside and everybody wins. Him getting upset because you said if the maid goes, he'll have to do his fair share is very telling, right? It'd be one thing if he was like, okay, we're wasting money, I will contribute more. But no, he's saying he wants you to do the housework. You're not home to make the messes, but you're supposed to work that much and come home and clean up after him just because he wants to save money while getting to sit on his ass. People like your husband always reinforce my decision to stay single, not the a-hole. People are getting a little upset about this one, and rightfully so. I feel like this resonates with a lot of people. Not the a-hole, he's free to clean the house he lives in.
Damn right.
You offered a great solution, one that benefits everybody. I think that that's like a fair expense. If that's what makes you happy, coming home to a clean house after a long day at work, if that's what makes you happy, then that's a fair expense. I'm sorry, you both work demanding jobs. You're sometimes requiring you to travel, but you should be taking care of the housework. Why? Because you're the wife? For f***'s sakes, it's 2024. You're both adults. You co-manage the household. If he wants the place cleaner, he can either help clean or pay for a cleaner. Pretending his wife is a maidservant is not an option, not the a-hole. All right, I'm gonna agree with Reddit on this one. Like, it is a little controversial. Some of you are gonna get upset, but I don't care. Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not letting my wife hijack a free vacation? Ooh, we got a lot of entitlement in this video. One of my 39 male hobbies is entering raffles, sweepstakes, radio contests, etc. I've won tickets to concerts, sporting events, some household items, gift cards, but never a grand prize like a car or vacation. I've never tried to win anything like that because I just feel like there's such a small chance. But maybe everybody else feels that way and they're not actually entering things, which would increase the likelihood of winning. Until last month when I won a free trip for 4 to Florida Florida for 5 nights. Obviously, I was super excited and I told my wife, 38 female, about it right away. After our initial excitement wore off and we started talking about details, it became apparent that we had conflicting ideas about this trip. Before I could even make suggestions about what I want this trip to be, my wife brought up how excited her 11-year-old daughter would be and how we could go to Disney, SeaWorld, etc. She then said we can bring her mom to help watch her daughter so that we could have some time for ourselves. Oh, okay. I mean, it's a suggestion, but you don't have to take that suggestion if that's not what you want to do. Not everybody wants to hang out with their mother-in-law. She was so excited about it and was getting wrapped up in planning things without even hearing what I wanted. I told her, all of that sounds fun, but I was thinking we can invite another couple and have it be an adult-only trip instead of bringing my stepdaughter and mother-in-law with. I mean, it is your trip. Like, maybe we could have also included the daughter in the planning, but at the end of the day, it is something that you won, not something that she won. She did not like my idea one bit and told me that she wouldn't feel right taking a free trip like that and leaving her daughter behind. I guess that's also fair. She said that her mom has never been to Florida and this would be a perfect opportunity for her to go there. We argued back and forth a little bit before deciding to take a break and come back to it before telling anyone about it. It is interesting that instead of wanting to take your family, you kind of wanted to take another couple. Maybe you just really needed, you know, an adult trip, not necessarily a trip that's about someone else's kid who's also kind of your kid, but I digress. Well, that lasted about 24 hours before my wife let it slip to her daughter that I had won a trip. Oh no. Right, so now you can't say no without telling the daughter, right? So of course, stepdaughter immediately got excited about it and started looking into all the things she wants to do. Ooh. I asked my wife why she told her daughter, and she said it was an accident, which, come on. It started a fight between us and emotions got a little high. I told her she was wrong to bring her daughter into this after we agreed to wait, and that I never agreed to take stepdaughter or mother-in-law on this trip. I told her I was the one who won the trip and she was acting like this was something specifically for her. Yeah, it's the entitlement for me. It's a little entitled, what the wife is doing. She told me I was being selfish and that we should include those closest to us in something like this, especially when neither stepdaughter or mother-in-law have been to Florida. She said that bringing another couple and leaving her daughter home would be cruel, especially now that she's so excited about it. Ah, there it is. There it is. How convenient. I told her that her daughter is only excited about it because she decided to blab about it instead of waiting like we had agreed. I told her if she wants to bring her daughter and mother-in-law, then she can pick someone else to go with because I would rather stay home by myself than go on a vacation where I don't get to be involved in any of the decisions. I said that if she wants to go that route, she certainly can, but I'm not paying for any of it. We have separate finances. Ooh, another one, eh? Interesting. Now she thinks I'm being a jerk and should be happy about having a free family trip. You're not a jerk because you don't want to pay for that. Edit, the trip is to Fort Myers, not Orlando. I think that's like a 3-hour drive. You're closer to Naples than you are to Orlando. Hey, if you end up going, make sure you check out the Blue Martini. Shit is lit on a Saturday night. I think maybe a way to kind of cool the jets a little bit is if you want an adult-only trip with your wife, you take an adult-only trip, and then maybe, you know, down the line, you can plan a trip to Disney World with your stepdaughter and your mother-in-law. It's your trip at the end of the day, and you're deciding what you want to do with it. Not the a-hole. While I see both sides of the coin, what it comes down to is that you won the trip. You should get to decide how it's used. I would certainly be bummed if my spouse won a trip and then wanted to take it without me, but that's not what's happening here. And I think your wife's insistence on controlling this and her judgment of you for not having the same vision of the trip are really unfair. I agree. That makes a lot of sense. I think that if she wants to plan a trip like that, then maybe she should try and enter a contest or maybe save up for that sort of thing. It's not like it's a never thing. It's not like you can never go to Florida. It's just like for this particular trip, maybe the husband kind of wants it to be, you know, a little bit of a break instead of a trip to Disney World where the mother-in-law is there and it's more about the child than it is about you. Because that's what happens, right? If you're going to Disney World, granted, I love Disney World as an adult, but like, if that's not the vibe, it's not the vibe. You aren't a bad person or a bad stepfather for wanting to take an adult trip. Lots of couples do this. It's not cool of her to act like you're crappy for having another idea. I mean, she should have heard you out before she decided what she wanted to do with that trip. It can be a collaborative thing, but at the end of the day, it's not her trip. And I agree with you, it was especially out of line for her to tell her daughter, accidentally or not, about the trip because she knew that would make it harder on you. Really not cool. It's not an accident. It's a little manipulative. The other thing that stands out to me is how you initially only refer to your stepdaughter as your wife's daughter. And I noticed that too, which is why I was like, that's Interesting choice of words. I don't know if it's your child. Like, maybe you could be kind of considering that, at least for the future. She clearly thinks of her daughter first in these scenarios, and maybe you don't. Right, probably because it's not your child. I'm sure if you had a child, you would think of them first. Interesting that you chose her daughter as a way to describe it. Yeah, and there's a lot of people in this Reddit thread that are kind of like saying it's kind of weird that you're marrying someone and your initial thought is not to include the daughter when you're making like trip plans. It's gonna be hard for you to find a way to put up your daughter while you're away. You're gonna have to find a babysitter, etc., which is an additional expense. You know, I kind of see both sides of this as well. At the end of the day though, it is his choice what he wants to do. It's just like whether or not he's being an a-hole. I'm gonna leave that up to you. You let me know how you feel. Subscribe!